Hey everybody, it is Nathan and Sylvia with a very special video. Now this is a topic that has been requested for a while and I haven't really gotten around to doing it, but with recent events regarding the Delta Airlines' change in policy and then re-change in policy, I think it's time to go ahead and talk about it. Emotional support animals versus service dogs. Now before I get started, I'd just like to throw in a little bit of an honorable mention to another type of working dog, which is therapy dogs. Therapy dogs are utilized for, well, therapy. That means you might see them in a private practice, so if your therapist has a therapy dog that they use to help their clients, you might see them in a hospital. They often visit patients in order to help them get better, or you might see them on campus during finals week, because that is a very stressful time, and they often bring therapy dogs to help calm down students. Now, therapy dogs have special access to hospitals, but they don't have public access. That means that their handler can't just take them out into public whenever they choose. Also, the dog isn't used to help just the handler. Most of the time, they're used primarily to help patients. All right, now let's move on to emotional support animals versus service dogs, starting with emotional support animals. Now, emotional support animals do not have public access. They're covered under the Fair Housing Act, rather than the Americans with Disabilities Act. This means that they're primarily used in someone's home. Also, the primary function of an emotional support animal can be a lot more passive, meaning that they don't have to specifically perform a task to mitigate the negative effects of someone's disability. For example, if the emotional support animal was a dog, their primary function could just be to be petted. Which brings me to another important point about emotional support animals. They don't have to be dogs. They can be dogs, but they can also be cats, they can be hamsters. I've even heard of some people using snakes for it. Emotional support animals are used for emotional disabilities, and in order to qualify for one, you need a letter from a mental health professional certifying that you do in fact have an emotional disability. Now, as I said earlier, emotional support animals don't have public access, but what they do have are housing rights, meaning that you can't take them in public, but you can't be discriminated against if you have them in your house by, say, a landlord. And some modes of travel might have policies allowing for emotional support animals to be with their partners while they're traveling. So now let's talk about how that differs from service dogs. The biggest difference is that service dogs have public access. They're specifically trained to be able to navigate in public and be able to stay calm and collected. Because of this, rules for what constitutes a service dog are a lot more strict. A service dog has to perform a specific action in order to mitigate the negative effects of a disability. They can't just be used passively. So Sylvia here is a service dog, and actively she has to do deep pressure therapy, providing a physical barrier, and sensory relief. So for sensory relief, she will get between my legs and I'll squeeze her a bit. For deep pressure therapy, she will get on my lap, and for providing a physical barrier, she will get in front of me and just kind of give me room in a crowded area. Service dogs cannot be aggressive, and they have to be housebroken. In fact, if a service dog is out in public and they're not housebroken, or they're not under control, and their partner doesn't take adequate means in order to get them back under control, then the business owner can ask the dog to leave, or the partner, because the dog probably won't know what they're saying. Furthermore, businesses are allowed to ask service dog handlers 2 questions. Is that a service dog? And what actions does your service dog perform for you? They can't ask for papers, and they cannot ask for the dog to perform the task that they're assigned to do, and they cannot ask what the disability is. Also, a service dog is specifically assigned to help one person with a disability, usually their handler. However, there are some cases in which there's a third-party handler. So, say if it's a kid and they're too young to be able to actually handle the service dog themselves, it might be assigned to a third party. So, say a parent or a professional. Another important difference between emotional support animals and service animals are the type of animal. Service animals are almost always dogs. In fact, legally, they can only be dogs or some species of miniature horse. Now, I've never actually seen a service horse, but they do exist, and they do have public access. Under Department of Justice guidelines, service animals can't really be cats or snakes or hamsters. They're usually dogs. So the bottom line of this video is, if you are an emotional support animal handler or a service animal handler, make sure you're using the right terminology. And if you're a business owner, make sure that you understand the right terminology. Well, that's today's video. Thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, give it a like, a share. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below, tell me what you thought, check out some of my other videos, and Sylvia and I will see you in the next one.